Welcome to 7 Questions to a Marketer, a brand Guff series where we bring you experts from the marketing and brand domain to share sharp insights with our audience and marketing fraternity, especially here in Nepal. And today we are joined with Mr. Graham Robertson. He is globally renowned marketing trainer and founder of beloved brands and a brand consultant who has built a lot of global brands like Coca-Cola, Johnson and Johnson, and General Mills also.
Yes.
So through his platform Beloved Brands, he now helps marketers and marketing teams from various brands around the globe to think sharper, smarter, build the brands that people truly love. So let's dive into the 7 questions. Mr. Graham, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate to be here.
Let me begin with your permission. You have worked with largest, global brands, and in your experience, what fundamental truths about brand building that marketers in emerging markets and developing countries like Nepal should understand and keep up with in scenario like this?
Well, the first thing is you have to know and be curious about your consumer better than anybody else. The consumer is boss, right? They're the only one that matters. And so it's not just who they are, but how they think, where they go during the day. A consumer is not even one consumer. We act different at 7 a.m. on a Monday than we do on 10 p.m. on a Friday.
True.
And so we have to understand how they think and act at various points in time. Second thing is build your brand around an idea. Can you describe your brand in 7 seconds? And use that description to drive the products, to drive the advertising, to drive the way you show up in the store, to keep driving the message, to keep it fresh and exciting over years with that same 7-second pitch. And then that's important. Probably the third thing I like to say is to get the greatness out of the people that work on your business, to get them to deliver their best work. And that's crucial to a beloved brand because they have to feel part of it. And so you want to get your scientists giving you best new products, your advertising people giving the best copy they've ever written. And if you make them feel part of the team and see where the overall vision is. I also think the brands need to stop just doing stuff and figure out how to invest and act like an investment manager instead of an activity manager. And then finally, we talked about beloved brands and loving the brands. We want to get consumers to love the brands. We need to love our work. Crucial. If we don't love it, how could a consumer ever love it? And that's what we have to, for me, I love it is the best bar that I could set for what is acceptable or unacceptable. I love that new idea. I love that ad. All that stuff is that's the final test if it goes to market.
Okay, nice. So many companies today seem to be investing heavily on performance-based marketing. They want, quick results, or they are more oriented in sales rather than building brands. So, what do you think? What are the mistakes marketers are doing in balancing building brands and activating sales?
So let's think about it like in a separate way. There's brand wealth, which is sales, and there's brand health. Well, as a human, if you were just rich and unhealthy, that's not good. Same thing for a brand. You have to be equally healthy and wealthy. So the health metrics is what we also have to invest in, the connectivity. If I can spend money to connect with consumers, I won't even have to sell them that hard. They'll want to buy. So I like to say that if we create desire, we don't even need to sell them. They want to buy. And that's the healthy part. So think if we separate these into health and wealth, if we always just go for wealth, we'll also run out of stuff. All these people who say, buy me now. Well, why should I buy you ever? I don't know. Who are you? Why are you telling me to buy you? I just met you 10 seconds ago. It would almost be like, marry me now. And it's like the same kind of thing. We can use the analogies of human relationships a lot when it comes to brands. So marry me now. What? Who are you? Same thing.
Okay. So right now, Nepal is witnessing a surge in startups. So there are lots of startups happening every day. And what do you suggest these entrepreneurs, basically startup founders, who are building brand from the very scrap? What are the, things they must keep in mind?
I think to stop talking about yourself and start talking about the consumer. I said, know the consumer better than anybody. The way you want to have this, if you just talk nonstop about what you do, the consumer will get bored or back up. But if you can talk about what the consumer gets, they'll lean into that. Oh, I get something from this. And if you could talk about how the consumer will feel, then they'll connect with it. And that's what's most important. The human relationship. If I went on a date with somebody and all I did was talk about myself, probably the person going on the date would say, they're kind of boring. They just talk about themselves nonstop the whole night. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. That's not good either. So find a way to engage almost in a conversation with our consumers.
Okay. Let's,
Tech people are the worst at it. So if these startup people are tech people, bits and bytes and what you do and how many, your version 7, I don't even know about the first 6 versions. Again, like it's 6.0, 6.3, 153 megahertz of something. Like, well, what all is this? I want to listen to music, I want to watch movies, and I want to phone my friends. That's what I want out of the technology. Talk in terms of human kind of ways.
Okay, let's, for example, if we look at the EV market, global
Yep.
EV market right now, BYD is, growing very fast and, challenging the established brands
Yep.
like Tesla.
Great car, great
Yeah.
idea, build your
And-
dreams.
Exactly. But from a brand builder's perspective, what do you think they did well so that they are now, neck to neck with brand like Tesla
Well,
in global market?
It's a better car,
Mm-hmm.
and they understand the pain points of consumers. So I just read that their latest car has a 9-minute charge, which is shockingly fast compared to 30 minutes for Tesla.
Oh, wow.
It also goes 900 kilometers instead of, say, 450 kilometers for Tesla. So if you think about those two pain points, understanding those, right? I don't want to be sitting waiting. If I'm driving my car, I don't want to be sitting waiting at a charging station for 30 minutes. 9 minutes, not bad. I can go in and get a bag of chips and come out and I'm charged, ready to go again. But 30 minutes, that's ridiculous. And I'm sure the fact that they're on to those two pain points is probably they're going to focus on it, probably in a few years. I expect that these cars to last like the whole week as the gas car might, as well as taking 3 minutes to charge.
So focusing on consumer pain point is the key.
Yeah, understanding those consumers. I wonder sometimes, especially in the airlines, I wonder sometimes if these people who work at companies even use their brands. Try it out. I know one airline in Canada called WestJet makes their executives take a flight every week. And you got to get in line, and they're not getting first class. They're getting in the economy and seeing what it's like.
So they get to,
Experience the brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes the big ivory tower doesn't get you to understand how the consumer is. And I think also, I sell stuff, e-commerce, even in my own business. I got to tell you, anytime somebody doesn't understand something, I get frustrated at first. I think, okay, I got to communicate better. And so having an e-commerce site is one of the best ways to learn how to be a marketer too. Just sell something, because you understand how consumers engage your brand and what questions they have. You thought you told them, you didn't tell them simple enough. Keep the communication simple, keep it clear, that kind of thing.
So just a follow-up question to this.
Yeah.
Is there a recent global case study you'd like to share with us that would be insightful to marketers here in Nepal?
Yeah, so I worked on a brand in China that is called Little Freddy.
Okay.
And Little Freddy started by a husband and wife entrepreneur. And it was mainly because they had a baby and they couldn't, named Freddie, and they couldn't get any healthy food for their baby. So they saw a need, but even as two entrepreneurs, they decided to create a product. And I think that's what, if people in Nepal can see, identify these unmet needs, that's where it all starts. Figuring out what a pain point might be or missing something in the marketplace. And they started a baby food. And that baby food, I think, is one of the, if not top 2 or 3 in the world right now. And so it's a great case study. Little Freddy out of China. The idea that they had is they wanted to create an organic food for their baby. And what the husband does is he actually goes around the world and finds the best blueberries, the best strawberries, the best wheat to make great products. And I call it like the Marco Polo strategy, right? He's traveling the world and bringing it back and making a great product out of it.
Wow, nice. So, in countries like Nepal, tourism, culture, and handicraft export is quite connected.
Yep.
So, how do you think local brands here can integrate these things into their campaigns so that it can provide a value to nation's branding as well?
Yeah, you have for tourism here some of the great things. What I see missing though is the emotional storytelling around those great things. So you've got trekking, you've got obviously the top wonder in the world that everyone wants to eventually see. But tell me stories about it. Just don't show a picture of Mount Everest and say, come see Mount Everest. Tell stories about it. How it was revered maybe 1,000 years ago, how people over the years have climbed it and build those interesting stories about people who's the oldest guy, who's the youngest guy. All those stories, people watch the Olympics, not just because of the sport, but because of the stories.
True.
And I think the same thing for here in Nepal. Tell me the stories. Back in the 60s and 70s, all of the great musicians came to Nepal after Woodstock. Build those into some of the great stories. Love to hear that.
So, last.
Yeah.
So, in one sentence, a couple of sentences, how do you define great marketing?
Curiosity. There's a word, one word. They're curious about the consumer. They're curious about the marketplaces. They're curious when they go to a place like Nepal, they want to see how consumers shop, go into a store, walk the streets. The great marketers, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's almost like you're on every waking second. You're watching videos, you're looking on YouTube constantly. But curiosity, we talk about AI, get in there and try it. Don't resist it. Try it out, learn the different tools, try it out. You don't have to become an expert of it, but you do have to be curious about it. And to me, that is going to be the biggest difference between someone who's okay and someone who's great. Someone who's okay can do the job easily. Someone who's curious will be hugely successful and will make a huge difference for the brand that they work on.
That was incredibly insightful talking to you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for hosting me. I loved it. Great
Our
questions.
pleasure. Our pleasure.
Great 7 questions. We could have gone on forever.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.